Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into one of Shakespeare's most incredible sonnets. It's a short, 14-line poem that does something amazing. It turns the act of remembering into a courtroom session, and it treats grief like a financial debt that has to be paid. It's a really powerful idea, and we're going to break it all down.
So here's how we're going to do this. We're splitting it into two parts. First, I think it's important to just experience the poem, so we'll do a full dramatic reading. And then we'll switch gears and really get into the discussion. We'll unpack all that brilliant legal and financial language Shakespeare's using to build his case.
Okay, so for this first part, my advice is to just listen. Don't worry about analyzing anything just yet. Just let the words and the feeling of the poem sink in. We'll get into how it all works in just a minute. Here is Sonnet 30.
When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste.
Then can I drown an eye, unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight?
Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore-bemoaned moan, which I knew pay as if not paid before.
But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end.
Okay, wow. Let's dive into that. I mean, what a journey in just 14 lines, right? It starts in this really deep, quiet sorrow and then ends with this incredible sudden relief. So how on earth does Shakespeare pull off such a huge emotional shift? Well, it all hinges on one central, controlling metaphor.
Now, the literary term for this kind of thing is a conceit. And a conceit isn't just a simple comparison, like love is a rose. It's this complex, extended metaphor that kind of provides the blueprint for the entire poem. And honestly, Sonnet 30 has one of the best examples you'll ever find.
So here's the big idea. The poet's memory is a courtroom. When he gets quiet and starts thinking, he's not just reminiscing. No, he's literally holding a formal court session, and all of his past sorrows are being summoned to the stand, one by one, to testify. And to build this whole world, Shakespeare is super specific with his word choices. He pulls them directly from the language of Elizabethan courtrooms and accounting books. Let's take a look at a few of the most important examples.
He sets up this whole legal framework right from the very first line. I mean, think about that word, sessions. What does that make you think of?
A session is a formal sitting of a court. So, with that one word, bam, Shakespeare immediately turns the private internal act of remembering into this official, almost public, legal proceeding. The poet isn't just feeling sad, he's acting as a judge, reviewing old cases of loss from his past.
Then we get this really fascinating phrase. He's not just weeping over an old sorrow, but a canceled woe. Now that sounds less like an emotion and more like a business deal, right? How can a feeling be canceled?
See, back in Shakespeare's time, to cancel something meant you were literally crossing a debt out of a ledger or voiding a legal contract. So the poet is saying he thought this particular grief was done, settled, paid in full. But in this court of memory, that old case can be reopened, and the debt has to be paid all over again, with fresh tears.
And this legal and financial language just keeps coming. He doesn't just remember his sorrows, he has to tell o'er the sad account.
And this is where the precision of his grief gets really interesting. To tell o'er is an old accounting term. It means to count up items one by one in a ledger. So he's not just vaguely sad, he is meticulously auditing his sorrows, adding them all up into one big, sad account.
So for 12 straight lines, the poet is just piling up these emotional debts. The ledger is getting fuller and fuller, and the case against his happiness seems overwhelming. But then, everything flips in those final two lines.
This is just a brilliant illustration of the poem's stunning reversal. You have this ledger, right? And on one side, you have 12 lines of accumulated losses. Friends he's lost, loves that are gone, things he wanted but never got. But on the other side of the ledger, there's just one thing, a single thought of his dear friend. And that one thought is so powerful, it clears the entire balance. All the losses are restored, all the debts are paid, the account is settled. It's really fascinating to put this poem side by side with the one that comes right before it, Sonnet 29. It has an almost identical emotional structure, a long list of sorrows, then a sudden happy reversal when he thinks of his friend. But where Sonnet 30 uses the cold, hard language of law and finance, Sonnet 29 uses beautiful images from nature, like a lark singing at heaven's gate. It's like two totally different paths leading to the exact same place.
And here's a final little piece of trivia about this poem's legacy. That second line, remembrance of things past, has become one of the most famous phrases in all of literature. The great French writer Marcel Proust actually used it as the title for the English translation of his huge 7-volume novel about memory. That's how deeply this line has soaked into our culture.
So if you take one thing away, it should be about how this sonnet works its magic. Shakespeare takes the driest, most impersonal language you can imagine, the language of courtrooms and accounting ledgers, and he uses it to express something profoundly emotional, the crushing weight of human grief, and the even greater power of friendship to make us whole again.
Which of course leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. I mean, the poem makes this enormous claim, that just one thought of a friend can wipe out every past sorrow. So, what kind of friendship could possibly be that powerful? It's definitely a question worth pondering. Thanks for joining me.